Lil Pump. Since first coming on the scene earlier in 2017, Lil Pump and his boy Smoke Perp have been pretty much the most individual and dynamic duos in all of SoundCloud rap. The latter of 2016 told us a few things about Pump. For one, his self-titled track Lil Pump hit 1 million plays on SoundCloud. He was 15 with Smith & Wesson, and he really liked Xanax. 2017 saw a few things. Pump dropped songs like Boss, Molly, Gucci Gang, all sitting well above 20 million plays at this point. And he also went on tour for the first time with Smoke Perp and Adam 22 of No Jumper on the No Jumper tour. As Pump came more and more into the spotlight, videos of his before he was famous life began to surface, and people realized that he wasn't just playing a part. Lil Pump might actually be a legitimate retard. But it didn't matter one bit. It was like the more Xans he took and the more dumb shit he did, the more people loved him, and it made sense why. He was extremely entertaining. In this video, I'm going to talk about and do a brief review of Lil Pump's recent album release, Lil Pump the Album, and we're going to look into answering the question, is Lil Pump really here to stay? Lil Pump has a formula, and it's become more and more clear. He makes really short songs, maximum 2.5 minutes, just a little shortest, 1.5 minutes. And it's work. He'll often pick a phrase or a word that he'll repeat over and over and over, and he'll do it really melodically, and it'll be really catchy, and his fans eat it up because it sounds really good. We saw on Kodak Black's debut album, Painting Pictures, he went through a diverse, set of styles. He had a few different sounds and flows. And then following it up with Project Baby 2, his second ever album, he pretty much honed in on that sound that his fans love him for and that he gets Billboard hits with, and he kind of just stuck to that sound. Lil Pump didn't try what Kodak did on his first album. He knew to go straight to his bread and butter. The Lil Pump album is 15 songs, reaching 37 minutes, and 5 of these songs, being Flex Like Ooh, Boss, Molly, D-Rose, and Gucci Gang, have all been released, leaving 10 new songs to be featured on the album. This album sees 3 separate Smoke Perp features, a Lil Yachty feature, a Gucci Mane feature, a Chief Keef feature, and a 2 Chainz feature. As a Pump fan, I really think this album delivers. Outside of the 5 songs he'd already dropped, a lot of the songs are the typical Lil Pump Smoke Perp going back and forth doing their thing with like the 2-minute songs, the quick flows, the really hard bass in the background. The album opens to the song What You Say, and the hook is a typical Lil Pump, what you gotta say, what you gotta say, pull up in a rave. And it's him and Smoke Perp, and it's this really aggressive, bass banging in the background, hardcore, just right in your face kind of sound. The song really reminds me of their track together, Movin'. Pump comes on in this song, and he assures us that he's sold us both Re-Rock and Robitussin, as opposed to actual crack and lean. And then in a similarly aggressive flow with the quick beat, Smoke Perp comes on letting us know that he has stars on his face and tattoos, much like in Grand Theft Auto, which I thought was pretty funny, as is the rest of the song. It's just entertainment. I'm not going to go into this track by track, because in reality, a lot of the tracks, they're talking about slightly different things, but moreover, they're mostly the same. They're really exciting ones, like the song Crazy, where it sounds a lot like a rave or a club song. Lil Pump's just screaming over and over, jump in this bitch and go crazy. If you have to really pinpoint a weakest song on the album, you probably target the song Back with Lil Yachty. The two they don't sound all that great together, I think. And even in this one, the beat seems to kind of overwhelm not just Lil Yachty, but even Lil Pump. The song Youngest Flexer with Gucci Mane, it's pretty good. The beat is a lot more low-key than what you'd expect for your typical Lil Pump beat. And him and Gucci kind of enter in at this same kind of slower but intense flow. And, Gucci Mane's the way Gucci Mane sounds, he knows how to make himself work with any artist on any song. And he does just that. There's nothing super special about this song, but the two work well enough together, and just the novelty of having Gucci Mane and really what the crazy, ignorant figure he was, and then Lil Pump together, it's just really exciting. In the spirit of the excitement generated by this Gucci and Lil Pump collab because of what the two represent, even more exciting, 2 tracks later, track 10 is Whitney, Chief Keef, and Lil Pump, and man, this was some exciting shit. Chief Keef, pretty much the king of ignorance in rap, at least at the moment of a year or two ago. He seemed to be kind of passing the torch to Lil Pump. As we've seen, Chief Keef, he's been working really hard this year. He's dropped 3 tapes so far. I think he's trying to drop a 4th before the year's over. And he's expressed a lot of regret for the way he kind of behaved at an earlier point and some of the opportunities it cost him. So it felt like a passing of the torch of the ignorance, the king of ignorance in rap, over to Lil Pump, who seemed to have that kind of title, have that title on lock as it is. The song as a whole with Chief and Pump was pretty good. It reminds me of a lot of the other tracks on this album. It was, quick pace. Lil Pump comes in with a quick flow. Chief Keef follows it up. You were a little worried he was going to come on with his typical, slow, doesn't give a fuck, so-so flow. But he comes on and he matches Lil Pump's, low-key but strong energy on it. And it sounded good together. One of the tracks I was most excited about on this shit was track 15, the last track of the album, Pinky Ring, with Smoke Perp and Rick Ross. This was actually at 3 minutes 11 seconds. It was the longest track on the album. Pretty fucking long for a Lil Pump song, but it helped that he had 2 other guys with him. And I'm a big Rick Ross fan. I was excited about this, and it really just didn't work. I really do appreciate Rick Ross's even willingness to appear on this tape. I know he's really busy with Wingstop and shit like that, but I think he tries too hard to stick with the Pump and Perp style. It's a really kind of techno-sounding beat. He sounded about as out of place here as he does on that song Purple Lamborghini over the Skrillex-produced beat. You can tell he kind of feels pressure to acquiesce the style of Pump and Perp. He comes on, his first lyrics are, all the hoes want to fuck. All the hoes want to suck dick. And while you'd kind of expect that out of Pump and Perk, I was hoping for something different from Rick Ross, but at the same time, you can't be all that lyrical, and there's not too much you can really do on a Lil Pump and Smoke Perp song. So I do think he did, some of the best he could do to fit in with those two, but it really didn't work for me. Overall, I really thought this album was pretty solid. It was 15 songs, 37 minutes, 10 new songs, and it was pretty good. Most of the songs, they're the typical Lil Pump songs, really quick, nothing special, but at the same time, any of the songs, for the most part, that are new on this could end up being hits, and big ones at that. I mean, a lot of these songs sound like they belong at raves and in clubs, and I think if that's something Pump can achieve, then he can really have something hard to grasp onto. Moving on, I really want to address the question, is Lil Pump here to stay? Not to take anything away from Pump, but you have to believe a lot of his success has come from the acceptance of meme rap in the genre of rap as a whole, and the way meme rap's really embraced Pump and the way Pump's embraced it. He's taken advantage of it, and it's really launched him onto this insane trajectory of just a straight incline. A big criticism of Pump is that his name is bigger than his music is. You hear the name Lil Pump, you might know Boss, you might know Molly, you might know some of his songs. You're probably not going to know all that many of them. In reality, you're probably going to know about him from, some kind of viral video of him just being super ignorant and made it to World Star or anything like that. Another problem that I think a lot of people see with Pump is that, like I mentioned in the review of his album, he's a lot like Chief Keef. Chief Keef came on the scene, all the momentum in the world. It looked like he was really going to be like the next 50 Cent because of his attitude. He was so aggressive. He was making a good amount of music. And then it turned out he gave 0 fucks. He didn't give a fuck at all. He skipped video shoots. He skipped photo shoots. He skipped recording times and dates. He skipped albums. He skipped every fucking thing. And that's ultimately what led to him pretty much falling off. I think a lot of the people see the same thing happening with Lil Pump. He doesn't seem like he's all that interested in showing up to concerts. And granted, he hasn't missed any concerts yet, but he seems like he's just going to take a bunch of Xans one night and say, fuck this tour, and go somewhere. And I think a lot of people, I don't know if he's on a label, he might be in secret. I'm sure a lot of people would be weary to trust him with a really big video shoot or the kind of thing that they'd have to rely on him to make the responsible decision to show up for. And as we've seen, this Xanax taking shit is really not an act. Pump's, videos from before Pump was famous have turned up of Pump just looking dumb as fuck and like a straight retard. All that being said, it's really easy to argue with actions. It's a lot harder to argue with numbers, and the numbers say that Lil Pump, his song Boss, just hit 40 million plays on SoundCloud. Molly's sitting at 30-something million plays, and he has a handful of songs that are above 15 and 20 million plays. And his album, even though it's only Monday and there's a few days left, it looks like it's going to sell something along the lines of 50,000 copies first week. And given the success 2017 as a whole, the summer, the early fall has brought Pump, it does make it a wonder why he didn't make it to the XXL freshman list. I know you can make the argument that they picked people back in March, and the photo shoots are sometime in April, and that's when the list is set in stone. But even then, Lil Pump, his songs were buzzing. He had something along the lines of 1 million Instagram followers, and it's become clear that that shit is really a popularity contest, and he was one of the most popular artists at the time, so it does make you wonder why wasn't he on it. I think it'll be really interesting to see what happens with next year's XXL list and if Lil Pump is on it, because knowing the kind of person he is, how ignorant he comes off as, and after his album sells, if it does sell 50,000 first week, I really can't imagine him having anything to say to XXL but, man, suck my dick, I'm gonna take another Xanax. So to answer the question, is Lil Pump here to stay? I think, at least for the foreseeable future, he definitely is. Listening to his album in full and in depth, if it tells you anything, it's that his song, a good amount of the songs off there are going to make it onto the SoundCloud charts and get millions and millions of plays a week. And I'm not talking one song. I have a feeling at least 4 or 5 songs are going to be selected by the fans and are going to chart on SoundCloud. And because of how amusing he is and how quickly his fan base is growing, I don't think it's going to be that long before one of his songs makes it onto the Billboard Hot 100. And not only is Pump one of the faces of SoundCloud rap, something that he's quickly transcending into the mainstream, but he's also one of the pioneers of that Florida sound that X really burst onto the scene with the Look at Me song, with the hard, distorted bass and the loud, in-your-face, aggressive lyrics. I do think that for Pump to continue to grow and to hit a truly mainstream level, he is going to have to at some point curb his enthusiasm a little bit, because some of his really just un-PC things he has to say and in his songs, I don't know how well that it translates to a mainstream audience. A lot of people have dead grandmas, and it's not nice to hear that Lil Pump is selling those dead grandmothers crack. But hey, if Lil Pump can keep growing at anything near the rate he is now, I can't wait to see what he's doing and where he is a year from today.